Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Some of you guys have been asking for a Superman costume video, so I will do just that. Personally, I prefer to recreate the classic look of the character, or at least as close to the classic look as we can. Sadly, in order to be able to have the biggest emblem we can find, we have to use the Stalwart Defender chest. So it's an odd mixture of the new 52 Superman with the classic Superman, sort of. In order to get something that looks like the classic Superman belt, I'm using the Quicksuit belt. Obviously, the Superman cape, there is Steel that sells the Superman cape, and there is also Power Girl. And of course, we have our old friend Crypto over here. If you're wondering where I got Crypto, Crypto was part of the anniversary event that we had last January. I thought we could show our classic Superman look with the Crimson Kryptonian aura. It's only an aura for the hands, but based on the name, it's supposed to be a Kryptonian aura, so let's use it with our classic Superman. But technically, the Superman I usually use is an odd mixture of a New 52 with classic Superman. Like as I showed, I could use the Quicksuit belt, but somehow the Stalwart Defender belt works well enough for that style. Of course, if I don't show it, you guys are going to ask why didn't I show the New 52 Superman? As it's a bit weird. There's a few people on the forums who have been asking the devs to add the New 52 Superman costume to this universe online, but it's already there. We already have the New 52 Superman costume. It's the Stalwart Defender costume. But somehow, I guess this is not New 52 enough for some people. Some people are still asking for a New 52 Superman style to be added to the game. Although, there is a version that I saw online that is basically the New 52 costume, but with a different color scheme. Instead of being blue, yellow, and red, it's actually black, white, and red. And I have to admit, holy crap, I thought it looked pretty darn good. Of course, black in this universe online works pretty well with a lot of styles. Somehow the black on most styles stand out for some reason. I can't really properly explain it, but holy crap do I like the black. Whenever I put some black on a costume in this universe online, it makes it look even 10 times better. Here I didn't go with the Stalwart Defender boots, I went with the tall classic boots instead. But I really like this style. Of course, thanks to the gold material, we can recreate a pretty darn good version of the Superman 1 million from the Justice League 1 million comic. I've seen a few people complain about the gold material. Not sure why, because to me it looks awesome. Looks even better when you're in the sunlight, like in Metropolis or in Gotham or in Central City. Originally, the inspiration for this character was based on Superman Red Sun. At the time, we didn't have a proper Superman emblem, so I thought if we couldn't create an actual Superman character, let's see if I can create something that kinda sorta looks like Superman Red Sun. And here I made a variation using the silver material, and I thought it looked pretty good. Doesn't really look like Superman Red Sun, but the inspiration comes from that. But we'll take a look at something a bit closer to the Superman Red Sun. This is pretty darn close to the Red Sun Superman look. Obviously, the Superman emblem should be different, but sadly, this is the only Superman emblem we have in this universe online, so that's what we have to go with. There's no Red Sun Superman emblem, at least not yet. So you can see it looks a little bland, which is why I tweaked it a bit. Not just with the silver material, but also, if you remember, I tweaked the colors a bit in the other version that I showed. I added a bit more black. Although there is a version of Red Sun Superman that has a bit more black, we're going to take a look at that just now. Here, this is a variation of the costume that the Red Sun Superman had in the comic. Obviously, it's the wrong emblem and the emblem is too small. The chest piece is not exactly it, but the retro feel kind of worked well with this version of the character. Again, more black added to the cape, the gloves, and the boots, and even the belt. Makes the look a bit makes the character look a bit stronger. Obviously, it's not exactly it, but again, within the limitations that we have in this universe online, this is close enough. There was an Elseworld comic, I forget the actual name of the comic, where Superman was actually a Green Lantern. I'm not sure why his costume didn't have any green. It was basically an amalgam of the Superman costume with some Green Lantern element added to it. But ironically enough, it didn't have any or much green in the costume other than the emblem maybe. You have to wonder why. Like at that in that timeline, the Superman costume never existed. The only reason to make reference to the Superman costume was because that's the costume that we were familiar with. But within the context of that universe, it never really made any sense for them to design the costume like a Superman costume, seeing how Superman never really existed in that universe, being how Superman was actually Green Lantern. I guess having Superman just wearing a Green Lantern uniform uh, didn't seem original enough, I suppose. But anyways. And of course, at some point, I had to make my own version of a Blue Lantern Superman, which makes all kinds of sense to me. Basically, Superman is supposed to be inspiring hope, and Blue Lanterns are the lanterns of hope. So it was a match made in heaven in my book. Not sure why no one ever did anything with it in the comics, as far as I know. Basically, whenever they made Superman a lantern, they made him, as I showed previously, either a Green Lantern or they made him a White Lantern or a Black Lantern. We're going to take a look at our friend Superman as a Black Lantern in just a second. Ah, Crypto wants some attention. So anyways, so this was my version of the Blue Lantern Superman. For the aura, I could have went with the dark blue aura, but the star aura made a bit more sense, I thought, or looked a bit better, I thought. And a few times where I actually use that look, I kind of like to use it with the Starro shoulder piece. I can't really explain why. It just makes sense to me somehow. And of course, there's the evil Black Lantern Superman with the corrupted aura. Obviously, the emblem should be much bigger, but again, we do what we can within the context of this universe online. I wish I could have used a bit more Superman gear, like the Superman cape, but it works a bit better using the Herald of the Black cape. I could have used, if you don't have the Superman emblem, you can use the Herald of the Black chest piece. It would work well enough. So here I have the Herald of the Black pants, but for the chest piece, I went with the triangle chest piece, and obviously the hands are the Sinestro hands. For the skin, it's the undead skin. I didn't even do anything to it. I used it just as it is. And of course, there is the evil Ultraman. I probably could have made a video just with a whole bunch of alternate Superman characters. Let's try and keep it within one video. Although odds are I'm gonna have to make a follow-up video because there's quite a few Superman-inspired characters I couldn't really include in the video. So I will make a follow-up video. But in this video, I will try to look at the more important or more prominent Superman type character. And of course, this starts with our friend Ultraman. If we're going to start showing alternate Superman characters, Ultraman is way up there at the top of the list. Obviously, I have the Ultraman cape with with my multiverse character. I have the Kryptonite aura. You have to have the Kryptonite aura with Ultraman. You have to. And of course, we have the enhanced version of the Ultraman emblem. And for the belt, I went with the Green Arrow belt. It works well enough, and I think in this case, it's the enhanced version. And for the boots, obviously, the boots or even most of the style, like the chest piece and the pants, that's the Stalwart Defender chest, obviously. Obviously, the Solar Defender chest, the best chest in the game if you want to have a nice big emblem for your character. It's a bit pricey these days on the broker, but if you save up and if you play the broker often enough, you should be able to buy it at a good price. And at some point, everyone were trying to have their own version of Superman, and Marvel alone has quite a handful of Superman type characters. So let's look at a few of those. In this case here, we have our friend Gladiator. Gladiator was created within the pages of the X-Men. Basically, there's this whole group called the Imperial Guard that was created within the pages of the X-Men, and the Imperial Guard were sort of a Legion of Superhero version within the Marvel Universe. Basically, Dave Cockrum was a big Legion of Superhero fan. I think he even worked on the series for a while. So within the page of the X-Men, somehow he and Chris Claremont decided to create their own version of the Legion of Superheroes. And obviously, the Superman or Superboy equivalent was Gladiator. I could have gone with a few different versions for the cape and a few other details like that, but the Ra's al Ghul cape was probably the better option. And at some point, also Marvel created another version of Superman with our friend Hyperion. Basically, Marvel wanted to have a Justice League versus Avengers story, and in order to be able to do that, they created what was at first the Squadron Sinister, but then later on we met their alternate universe counterpart, that was the Squadron Supreme. I probably could have made a video just with Hyperion and a handful of Hyperion costumes. I think I did a video in the past with Hyperion if you want to see more of him. But this is a pretty darn close version of our friend Hyperion, as he was originally conceived in the Marvel Universe. And through the years, there was quite a few different versions of Hyperion, and quite a few redesign of the character. One of the redesign that I really enjoyed was a version from Alex Ross. It was like an alternate version of the future in the Marvel Universe, and we had an older version of Hyperion, which looked pretty darn close to what we're seeing right now. It's not exactly it, but it's close enough. Ah, poor Crypto. So if you want to recreate your friend Hyperion, it's quite possible to do so. I had an Hyperion character at some point that was using Atomic, but I repurposed our friend Hyperion into something else. And of course, in recent year, we had our friend the Sentry. I'm not sure if he's the latest Superman type character that Marvel created, but he was created around in the early 2000s, I think. There's probably other Superman type characters that were created in Marvel since. I think the Blue Marvel was created after him. But basically, Marvel wanted to have their own Superman, and somehow thought that the Sentry could be it. Not sure why they thought that, but anyways. I made a video just with the Sentry, so if you look through my videos, if you want to see more looks about the Sentry, you can see more of him. I just went with the what was the most quote-unquote iconic look for the character through the years. There was a point in time where it would seem that everyone were trying to have their own version of Superman. So, and at Image Comics, Rob Liefeld, I'm not sure if he was created by Rob Liefeld or because I seem to recall it wasn't Rob Liefeld who was drawing the book, it was someone else. But it could have been created by Rob Liefeld and someone else actually was working on the book. That happened quite a lot at some point. But basically during the early days of Image Comics, everyone were trying to have their own version of Superman and their universe. And I won't even look at all of them because, as I said, there's many of them. I probably should have made a video just with the alternate Supermans that a lot of people were trying to create. Like there was a Samaritan. At Image alone, there was quite a few of them. Let's take a look at one more, actually two more Image type Superman character. You'll see what I mean. Another Superman type character that was created at Image was Majestic. as I mentioned, everyone were trying to create their own Superman. Ironically enough, there was a Majestic miniseries in the mid 90s, and it was drawn by Ed McGuinness. And ironically enough, afterwards, Ed McGuinness went to draw the actual real Superman for what was a pretty nice run. As you can see, we can recreate a pretty close version of our friend Majestic's within this universe online. There's quite a handful of gloves that could actually work, and for the belt also there's quite a few belts. For the chest piece, I went with the Nightwing chest piece because basically the Majestic costume is like a stylized M, and the Protégé chest piece actually allowed me, the Nightwing chest piece allowed me to have the M motif for the chest, but the chevron slimline could work if you don't have the Nightwing chest just yet. Ah, poor Crypto. And another Superman type character that was created at Image was Omni-Man.
I've got a toilet in my house.
There was this storyline, I think it was in the comic Dynamo or Dynamo 5, where you had this evil alien who came to Earth and who wanted to fight the Earth's greatest hero. And then there was a bunch of Superman type character like Majestic, Omni-Man, and someone else I forget that showed up. I think it was Omni-Man Supreme, and I forget who the other one was. And they all ended up not knowing who was Earth's Superman counterpart. And this is, within the context of this universe online, pretty darn close to our friend Omni-Man. Obviously, he should only have a mustache. He doesn't have a goatee like that. But just the mustache we have in this universe online didn't really work, didn't really do justice to Omni-Man. So I decided to go with the goatee instead. I thought it worked a bit better. For the O, there's the classic O or the Letterman O that can be used. You decide which one you prefer. And this is pretty much it for our version of the Superman costume. Again, it probably was a mistake trying to include everything within one video. Again, just with the alternate Superman, that probably should have been a video on its own, and there's quite a few more, or quite a lot more that I could have included. I guess we're gonna have to make a follow-up video, and we'll see about coming up with even more Superman costume. Also, I could look at the various sort of Superman inspired gear or more Kryptonian inspired gear. There's a whole bunch of Kryptonian gear in this universe online that doesn't really look like Superman gear, but it still counts as Kryptonian gear. And there's quite a few pieces of gear that actually do have a Superman emblem. I only showed a few in this video, but I'll try to show. I'll try to make a follow-up video with a whole bunch of either Superman inspired gear, either Kryptonian gear, or either more Superman inspired character that everyone at some point were trying to create. Like at some point, everyone were trying to have a Superman character. There was a Samaritan in Astro City. There was so many, I can't think of them all. So that's going to be pretty much it for now, guys. If you have any questions or any requests, ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about that. So that's going to be it for now, guys. So as always, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.